They used to tell me I was building a dream with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in line, just waiting for bread? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly-dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with the drum. Say, don't you remember? They called me Al. It was Al all the time. Why don't you remember? I'm your pal. Say, buddy, can you spare a dime?
So it is a Saturday, so presumably, Gerta, it is your day off. So this would be a day that you're doing volunteer work down at the Tin City. Is it just like, you imagine it's like a stall they set up to hand out things and serve people, and probably like have a truck behind you that you came in on with all the supplies? You need to press button.
It would probably be like a sort of truck, and then a sort of a slight stall, like as in like a morning. If it's Saturday, it'd probably be like a Saturday morning, early in a Saturday morning.
Yeah, so you're there, there's another couple of volunteers with you, there's the driver of the truck, big burly guy, full Salvation Army uniform. He's got a very warm, kind of jolly smile, but he's there to add some physicality to make sure things don't get out of hand. Nobody's like being unruly or abusive or anything like that. And you have a queue of several dozen people forming. Some of the wives that live in the place with their young kids, and then some of the men are kind of queued up behind them. They've allowed the women to get in first. Because people had a little more manners in those days. Yeah, so you're down there and you're like giving out bread, hot soup, probably pamphlets for the Salvation Army and the church as well, I would imagine, because they usually tie those things in.
Yeah, pretty much. And
again, it's 7th of January. It's absolutely fucking freezing. The people here are tired, hungry, stressed, cold. They're probably almost universally wearing those kind of thick brown jackets. They're like knee length, wrapped around themselves. They've probably got a couple of jackets on, some of them. All kinds of like rags and clothing and blankets wrapped around them to try to keep themselves warm. And I imagine it's quite quiet. Some of them might be more perky because they've just woken up. A lot of them, they've not slept very well and they're cold and they're hungry. So it'll be kind of a subdued sort of atmosphere from the people that just kind of come up and saying thank you and getting things off you and then taking a seat or just sitting on the ground or, on top of a pile of bricks or something like that to sit and eat. Paul, I don't know if it'd be you or your wife would be the one attending this for the free handouts.
Probably the wife will have convinced Paul to go along as well, because I imagine, because of the two of them, there might be twice the handouts kind of thing.
What was your wife's name again?
I think it was Hilda.
Hilda?
I think. I might be very wrong.
I don't think it was Hilda.
Was it not Margaret?
Agnes or something, maybe.
Agnes kind of sounds like
I think it was Agnes. I think it was.
Agnes.
I got your old sheet here, I should see it. Agnes, it was indeed. You have 3 living children, correct?
Probably teenagers now.
Are they all with you, or are some of them back in Scotland?
I think, Because let's see, because I'm trying to think, like, what age was Paul on that sheet?
Second, I close it. 32.
I think there's a chance that probably, like, one or two of his kids are probably, like, still over in Scotland. Like, maybe one of them chose to stay in Scotland, so probably only has two.
It's like the eldest stayed behind or something.
Yeah.
And the other two were teenagers, like you said by now. So maybe you and your wife and probably, well, one or both of the kids are standing in this queue waiting their turn. And they hand out, probably might be handing out blankets as well as like hot soup and bread. And Eric, would you also be in this queue at this point in time, or would you be lying in a gutter somewhere?
Yeah, appropriate start to the day. Yeah, I think I would probably have come down to get something to eat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you're all part of this queue. You're probably saying, "Hey, good morning" to each other. Friday night was last night, so I imagine that would have been a boxing match. A lot of drinking going on.
Yeah, probably look a bit worse for wear.
And Rocky, are you the type of person to be down here bright and early first thing, following up on leads?
Probably a little later than everybody else, but decently early.
Okay, so you guys all get served and then sit down and sharing a chat and a soup. And it's kind of, the queue's kind of getting to the end of the queue by the time Rocky shows up. And Rocky, you come down and Salvation Army's there, and that's people you're looking to talk to because you had one of these people had seen your wife at some point. And, there's all these homeless people kind of just like sitting around looking scraggly and rough, chatting away and, slopping down their soup and bread. A lot of them are kind of like just throwing their trash, handing in their trash or throwing it to the side in the pile, and going back to their shacks or whatever it is they do during the day. And the queue is a lot shorter at this point when you arrive. Are you going down there in your car, or would you just choose to not take your car to a place like this?
Yeah, I would probably not take my car to a place like this.
And you don't live that far away anyway, because you're still in Brooklyn anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go down and you can see the van that says Salvation Army along the side. You can see it's nearly empty because all the stuff's been used by now. And there's a couple of women and a guy standing at the end of it, dishing out to the last of the queue. And you've probably got a name and a description of the woman you want to speak to.
Yeah, I'll of course scan to make sure if anyone matches the description at least.
So Gerta, what are you dressed as right now? What do you look like?
I have a blouse on that says like Salvation Army on it, like just a wee bit that says, a white blouse and a long skirt with boots.
They have a kind of like red wine coloured outfit, don't they? Like a blazer thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I can have this sort of wine coloured blazer.
Yeah, I think that's the outfit they wear.
Outfit.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have a big,
fine.
thick wool jacket on because it's freezing this point in time as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is your hair all like tied up, or you got a hat on or something?
Hair's tied back, yeah.
And Rocky, I mean, do you just look like a typical 30s gangster with the hat and the suit?
Yeah, definitely with a thicker jacket that kind of like hides me, but I definitely stand out in this area. I definitely look like a gangster.
I mean, a lot of people wore the same kind of clothes, Ben, but yours is also of a higher quality because you've actually paid good money for them, whereas everyone else here is like handouts and leftovers.
Exactly. So I'm definitely sticking out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, and the first thing you notice when you get off the bus, walk around the corner or whatever, is going to be the smell. Because, you know, the smell of the smoke coming from all the shacks, you're right on the waterfront, so you can smell the upwind coming off of that, which is kind of stinking. There's a lot of sewage and stuff getting dumped into the river at this point. And waste. And then there's a smell of like human waste and urine and all the rest of it. Because although people do a good job of keeping the settlement kind of clean, because they do live there, there's no plumbing, there's no sewage system to speak of, so it's very much people carrying buckets down to the water and like chucking it in the water and stuff like that, so inevitably there is like smell.
Yeah, I'll try to just kind of hold my hand over my nose a little bit, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, and as you come down, this really skinny, bony, rough looking, I don't even know what dog types are, this dog, like a small breed with a kind of reddish brown coat, just not it's not excited, it's kind of like tiredly just kind of like walks up to you and starts like sniffing around your ankles.
Go on, kid, I ain't got nothing for you.
And
Just kind of like gently shoo it away.
And he just looks up at you with these big sad eyes, these big droopy ears.
Fuck, I don't got anything, go away.
And as you continue on down to the Salvation Army people, the dog falls behind you, a few feet behind.
Alright, sure.
And then behind one of the stall counters, you see the woman matching the description that you've been given, and it is Gerta.
Hi, excuse me, Gerda Nordstrom?
Yes, how can I help?
I was wondering if you happen to have seen my wife. Her name's Angela, and I'll pull out like a picture of her. And it's like, you know, some of her friends said she was kind of volunteering around here. She didn't come home.
What date was that? What?
I assume I know the exact date, but it's like,
Well, this is
a couple days
Saturday
ago.
now, so if you're using a couple of days, that's like Thursday night, something like that.
Yeah, sure. It was
I did-
about Thursday.
I did see Angela on Thursday, but she then got the bus to go home. So, yeah, so she was getting the bus home, and we left her there. She seemed happy.
Yeah, Rourke just kind of like stands there and is just like thinking really deeply. He's just kind of sighing, kind of disappointed, but you know, not really sure what else to say, and just sort of standing there thinking like, you said she caught the bus. Did you manage to see anything else? Was she talked to somebody, right? Like, you know.
It's a busy bus station, so yeah, there would have been people there. You know, there was a few ladies there, and a couple of old men there as well. So
So Paul and Eric, you guys are sitting there still just like finishing off with your bread and stuff, and you can like overhear this conversation. Just then, a young kid comes like running up from the shoreline, like running up, and he gets to kind of like the crest of the area that you're all at, and he just yells, "There's a body! There's a body down the water!"
Yeah, I immediately sprint. I just barely managed to keep hold of the photo, and I sprint towards where the boy's at, or where the boy's pointing towards.
Yeah, as soon as you like run in his direction, he starts running to lead you straight down to the water. And you go down, you have to like circumnavigate a couple of the shacks. There's people standing around like smoking pipes and roll up cigarettes. And there's like a small crowd of young boys down at the water's edge. One of them's got a stick and he's just kind of like prodding at something that's floating just a few feet into the water. The rest of you, when you hear this, would use to?
Probably like join down in regards to it.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing else much going on at the moment, so probably go down to have a look at what's happening.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything else. I'll check out the body.
Yeah,
I
you
start handing out
made your own
cups.
entertainment then.
Sorry, you go there.
I was going to say I just start handing down cups of tea for people because, you know, and a bit of sugar so that, you know, if anyone feels a bit faint.
So
you know,
they all
'cause
run
it's a
down
body.
and you like scoop up like what, a carton or a flask full of tea and take it down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so you just run down there and there is very clearly a body lying face down in the water. Fully clothed, doesn't look like a woman immediately when you look at it.
Yeah, I think the moment that I clock that, I again breathe a sigh of relief, but also like, if it's not her, where is she? Kind of thing. Taking comfort that at least I didn't find her body, but I still don't know where she is. And I'll guess I'll try to not overly enthusiastic, try to help fish out the body, but
Sure, you approach
Might
the
as
water,
well.
and like I said, there's a smell of water. It's not very pleasant. You know this water's not that clean and this close to shore. You're gonna have to like go in up to your ankles to like fish the body out properly.
yeah, no, I think I'm actually gonna pass on that. I'll just stand here and hold my nose.
So you turn around and like look at the other men that are approaching imploringly.
Unintentionally being like, hey, poor people, you go deal with this.
Eric, Paul, you guys are approaching this guy, and you might even wonder what he's doing here this time of day. Very well dressed, obviously a bit pricier shoes and pantsuit, jacket and hat. Sort of standing in the water, and he clearly doesn't want to get his hands dirty here.
I think Paul probably wouldn't really bat an eye at him and just go straight towards the body to sort of pull it out.
Yeah, I'd probably give like Rocky a kind of glance of mistrust and a kind of scorn, but I would probably go to help Paul.
You miserable stuck-up bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys get in there, the water, the cold, ice cold water sloshes around your ankles, there's like chunks of ice floating out and stuff. You grab a hold of it and just like haul the body up onto the gravel shore. You turn it over, and it's wearing this big heavy wool jacket. He's got like a polo neck sweater on underneath and then another shirt on underneath that. Instantly the body does not look right. The eyes are all like shriveled into the socket and they just look kind of like raisins or little pips in the sockets there. The skin is all really dried out, flaky looking. It looks almost kind of like bark like. It's all broken, and you imagine you could just kind of like peel it off in chunks if you wanted to. The skin around the nails is all kind of pulled back. The lips have all receded and the gums, and you can see all the teeth are exposed, and a few of those teeth are missing. The nose is incredibly thin and desiccated looking. It almost looks kind of skeletal and shriveled, as if it's like really aged. You might have seen bodies in the last few years when you've been down here in the water occasionally. People fall in when they're drunk, they go for a midnight swim. Some of the bodies just get dumped here sometimes further upriver. But those bodies are always kind of like bloated and in a stage of decomposition. This doesn't look like that at all. It's really out of place. The hair is all kind of like thin and shriveled and wiry. But the man did have facial hair at some point. And I think, Eric, you might possibly like recognise it as somebody who looks like one of the Nordic seamen because he has the blonde streaks in the beard and the facial hair and the thin hair on the top. And he, judging by the length of him, he looks like he was quite a tall man as well.
I think if I wasn't fully awake already, I'm definitely awake now.
A small crowd kind of gathers around you on the shoreline, and you can hear people whispering. You know, this is another one of those strange bodies. This is another one that's been taken away by the Faceless Men.
Yeah, Rocky's like, still kind of holding a handkerchief to his nose, but it is like kind of keeping an ear out, hearing all these whispers, like making mental notes of like faceless men or another one of these bodies, and trying to figure out what it all means. But he's also looking at the body, not as close as some of the others, but he's kind of just glancing over it, trying to study it. It's like, was the guy wearing anything that he might have recognized, or any particular markings, signs of like a violent death?
You give me
Or is the body just too desiccated?
for a cursory kind of glance, you can give me a dice for scene analysis, and do you have a trait that applies?
I mean, I got clever.
Sure. So roll 2d6. Oh, aced it. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, you're not going to get like the forensic details.
No.
But you can see this guy, he's dressed very like a lot of the other people that are standing around you. He's clearly someone from this area. You might guess his age is kind of 50s, maybe going into 60s. Hard to tell with the way the skin's all kind of like shriveled up and flaked, but judging by like the facial hair and the hair on top of his head, that's what you would guess.
Yeah.
You can see there's a very clear scar on the right side of his neck. Like a healed over scar, but very prominent.
Okay. But like no like visible wounds or anything like that?
No, because I mean he's fully clothed. It's sodden wet,
Yeah.
obviously, and kind of like half frozen, but without like lifting it up and looking at his flesh, there's no obvious bruising or cuts. There's no bullet wounds. You would notice right away. And it doesn't seem to be blood on his clothes either, which is probably something you would notice.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what do you guys want to do?
Are the dead man's eyes open? I think just like out of respect, I would probably try and close his eyes.
Well, the eyelids will be pulled back because they don't close when you die. But the eyeballs themselves, as I said, are like shriveled, almost like raisins inside the sockets. So there is like a little bit of flesh in there, but it doesn't look like an eye.
Yeah, probably not closable in that case.
I mean, if you wanted to do something like that, you could like put something over his face to cover it.
Yeah, maybe like try and find a rag or like someone's handkerchief to just cover his face a little bit.
Paul would probably ask one of the people that's talking about faceless men and ask, like, who's the faceless men?
And there's a middle-aged guy that's quite short. And he's like comes up to you and puts like a hand on your shoulder, or reaches up to try and put a hand on your shoulder because you're so tall. And he very clearly has a kind of Nordic accent that you've heard them a few times, but you can't really discern which one is which at the moment.
Ah, Swedish chef, got it.
Yeah. Herby derby derb. They're spirits of the dead sailor's son. And some say that they come from these waters and claim the lives of those that have wandered or lost their way. And the guy turns around and shouts to the crowd, he's like, do any of you know him? And everyone's kind of like peeking over and murmuring, but nobody steps forward to claim knowledge of who he is. So what do you do?
Is there a local police guy around, or you know?
You could go look for one.
Yeah. I decide to go and look for one. I hand Paul the tea with the carton of milk. Just say to him to pass around if people need, you know, a cup of tea.
You run back up the slope, back to where the van is. Your driver's still standing there, and he's like, "What's happened? What's going on?"
They found someone at the water dead.
He makes like the sign of the cross on his chest. Oh, it's just terrible down here. The
Yeah.
extent of the deprivation. Is he drowned, do you think? I don't know if there's a policeman around, a constable, and he starts looking around.
You could find a constable and take him down to the water if that's okay.
Will you be okay here on your own if I go look for one?
Yeah, I can man the stall if you go and look.
He stands there for a minute, sort of weighing up if that's a good idea or not, and then he kind of nods. And then he nods and like makes his way up to the main road, to go and look for a policeman. Leaving you standing there. Who's the other woman that's working with you today?
My flatmate Emile.
Oh, so Emile is there. Yeah, so Emile's there and she's like folding up blankets and putting away one of the stalls. And she has a kind of look of concern on her face when she sees you. Is it someone we know?
No, Emile. I'm not saying we're lucky, but it's nobody we know. It's just sad, to be fair.
She shakes her head, so it's always sad coming down here. And just at that moment, you can hear some kids that are sitting, playing with something in the dirt, like coughing and spluttering, sniffling.
I give them so I can give them some fruit juice. I have some fruit juice. So I give them some fruit juice.
Yeah, I mean, it's more likely you would give them like an orange or a lemon or something like that.
Yeah.
Thanks, lady.
Are you guys okay? Don't go down to the water.
Why? What's down there?
Just don't go down to the water.
They look at each other for a second, and then they'll run down towards water to see what's going on.
Oh, kids.
Yeah, so you guys on the shore, what do you want to do?
Also, kind of asked the guy that Paul was kind of talking to about the faceless men, and it's like, you know, have you seen any of these faceless men? Like, you know,
Like, takes a cigarette out of his mouth and just shakes his head to say, no, I've not seen anything like that.
do you know anybody who has?
Puts the cigarette back in his mouth, takes the draw, and kind of like shrugs his shoulders. People around here talk. I don't think anyone's actually seen one before. You know these old seamen, you know, they have their tales.
Yeah.
He looks down at the body, and then looks at the three of you to see if you're going to do anything.
I think I'll look quite slowly and carefully so it doesn't look like I'm trying to steal anything off him, like gonna go. Is he wearing? I mean, he's clothed at this point. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
his
not-
jacket, jumpers,
Yeah.
pants, shoes. He's got a lot.
I'll look through his clothes to see if he's got anything that might identify him.
You flip the sword and jacket open, pad down the pockets and go into the inside pocket. There's a little food stamps card that they hand out. It's usually got like your name and your date of birth on it. And it's sodding wet, but you know it's still readable. When you shake out a bit, you can see the name on it. It's Sven Anderson.
It looks like our man's got a name.
The other man crouches down beside you and takes a draw of his cigarette. Said, who is it?
According to his card, he was Sven Anderson. But beyond that, don't know anything more about him. I don't know where. There's no mention of where he lives or anything like that.
The guy like stands up and looks around the crowd, kind of gets up on his toes to try to peer over him. And he shouts, Carl? Carl? And after a moment, this big, tall, blonde guy, very broad and muscular, kind of like pushes his way through the crowd to the front. And he says something. Is your guy Swedish? Norwegian? What?
I'm thinking about... I was originally thinking Swedish, but I don't know whether I might switch to Norwegian. But, yeah.
So I know what language you speak.
Yeah, I think I'll go with Norwegian, actually.
Okay, so this guy says something in Swedish to the other guy, and you recognise it's Swedish. You know the language well enough to recognise that much, at least. And you can make out kind of like somewhat it's saying, and he starts having a conversation with the short guy, this guy Carl. And the guy, you get the impression Carl is someone who knows this man. And Carl kind of like pushes past the little guy and crouches down. He's this big hulking guy. He's at least the size of Paul. With this thick blonde hair that's kind of like short at the back and sides and just longer and combed over on top. And he looks up and down the body and kind of just like looks at you for a second and just nods as he like puts his hands down and starts like going through the pockets. You can see he pulls out a wet, sodden set of rolling papers, a pouch of tobacco, and then he pulls out another bit of paper and he looks it over back and forth and then like just puts it back in the pocket.
Hey, what was that?
The guy Carl turns and looks at you for a second, and he looks at the small guy as if he's waiting. And then the small guy says something to him in Swedish, and then he answers back in Swedish, and then the small guy says to you, it's a church leaflet pamphlet.
Do any of the gals at the Salvation Army go there at all, or help out there? I'm looking for my wife. And I'll show him the picture. She was volunteering here a couple days ago, Thursday. She never came home.
The short guy kind of looks at it for a minute and then motions to the big guy, and he stands up and comes over and he looks at the photograph, and the two of them have a short exchange in Swedish. He says, Carl he's not seen your wife, no, I'm sorry. I recognise her, I've seen her around, but I couldn't tell you where she is.
Fuck. Alright, well, thanks, I guess.
At this point, you turn to, because you're going to walk away, and you see a cop coming down.
Yeah, I think I also just kind of turn it around a second time and just walk a different direction back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big crowd kind of like semicircle around you, and you're kind of walled in for a second, and maybe you judge for a second if you want to make as much of a commotion by pushing through people, or if you want to just stand back and sort of merge into the edge of the crowd.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if I turn around and I just see the crowd wall, I'm just going to be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just be part of the background, and hopefully... I mean, I'm not a big fish, but, you know, you never know if they know my face or not.
So when your driver comes back, Gretna, with the cop, he points the cop towards you, and the cop comes up to you. Says, "There's a body, ma'am. Can you take me to it?" Gretna. Gerta, sorry.
Yeah, I can take you to the body. Come with me.
Sure. So you just fall down, and that's when the rest of you see you approach. You just cut through the crowd, everyone disperses and lets in Carl, the short guy, Paul and Eric are all kind of like crouched around or standing around the body. And the cop comes down and goes, "All right, everyone, disperse. There's nothing to see here. Stand back." He kind of like pushes you all aside to have a look at the body. And he instantly regrets that he got as close as he did. He kind of steps back for a second. Like, oh, good lord. Alright, what happened here? Who found the body?
Is the child still about, or are they just long gone?
You just look around and the kids are gone. They saw the cop and they were off.
Well, Paul just says some kids said there was a body down here, so we came down to look at it to see if it was someone we knew.
Alright, sir, what's your name?
Paul Cummins.
He takes his little notepad, starts writing it down. You can just notice the thick truncheon hanging off his belt. The polished belt buckle and buttons on his tightly fastened up jacket. He kind of like wipes his face. This kind of thick mustache that he's got over his lip, clearing the frost from it. Alright, and you, sir, and he points directly across at Rocky. Even though you're standing back several feet away amongst the crowd, he just instantly points right at you.
Yeah, I should have figured that as much. Yeah. What can I do for you, sir?
I'm just wondering why a good working man like yourself doing down here at the water's edge this time in the morning.
Looking for my wife. Went missing around here and was doing some volunteer work a couple days ago and didn't come home. Figured I'd ask around. Some folks said she was doing work around these parts, so just another concerned citizen is all.
He kind of gives you a side eye for a second. It's like, alright, very well. What's your name, sir, if you don't mind me asking?
Smith.
And then he does that thing where he like lowers his head and looks his eyes up towards you. Smith. Is that John Smith?
Yeah, pretty common name, eh?
Yeah. He makes a wee note his notepad. What about you, gentlemen? And the small guy gives his name. Robert Hereford. And then he has to translate for the big blonde guy. And he gives his name. Which I've scrolled past. Carl Johansson, that's it. Yeah, Carl Johansson, and then he motions to you, Eric, to ask you your name.
I'm Eric Lundgren.
Eric Lundgren. Alright, you guys all Danish then, yeah?
I'm from Norway. I don't know about these gentlemen.
Norway's okay. He writes down in the notepad. And do any of you gentlemen know the deceased here? Or what might have happened to him?
Paul shakes his head, just came down and found him, well, the other way, face down. We rolled him over.
Alright, and has anyone touched the body? You taking anything from his pockets?
Paul just shakes his head. No.
Covered his face, but that was it.
Everyone else kind of just nods their heads like, nope, not touched. Alright, very well then. If anyone stands back, I need to check the body. And he gets down, he starts rummaging through the pockets, takes out the church pamphlet, looks at left and right, just like throws it to the side. I'm assuming you didn't put the food stamps card. The other guy wouldn't have put the food stamps card back in the body. And he takes out the rolling tobacco and all that and just like puts that to the side. He says, no ID, no wallet. Does anyone have a name? Anyone know who this is? It's kind of like looking at you guys and then yelling off to the crowd at the same time.
Paul kind of gives a non-committal shrug to it because he doesn't know.
Just kind of shake my head and look a bit blank.
Robert, the small guy, as far as he goes, I think I know him, officer, as Sven Anderson. He's a local around these parts. And the cop just looks at him and goes, Sven Anderson. He takes out his notepad and writes down the name. It's alright, well, he doesn't seem to have anything on him. And kind of under the breath, he's like, much to look. Alright, if you'll go about your business. And he points at the Robert Hereford. He says, you and the big guy here, if you don't mind, keep an eye on the body till I go fetch, call to the office and call the coroner. Just make sure no one else moves or touches the body. And they nod and kind of stand there. He gets up, brushes his trousers off at the knees. Looks over at Rocky one more time. So you said your wife was missing down here?
Yeah.
Have you filed a missing persons report?
Figured you boys were a bit stretched thin elsewhere.
Aye, well, that's very kind of you to think of us in welfare like that, but if she's missing and you're down here on your own looking for her this time of day, might be worth your while filing a report to the station.
Yeah, probably for the best. Officer.
Yeah, because he gets in close to you. Yeah, you need to be careful when you're down here on your own. Don't want anyone ruining your smart clothes. It can get awfully rough down here, especially at night.
I appreciate the concern, officer.
It kind of gives you a hard stare for a moment, trying to like weigh you up, and then just nods.
Yeah, Rocky just smiles. Very, very small, but pretty smug.
He takes his truncheon out, just like starts waving it in the air. He's like, alright, all of y'all, disperse, come on, back to your business. And kind of like waves them all away and he'll disperse out a bit as he kind of like makes his way back up the path towards the road. But anything else?
Once the cop passes by, my smug smile definitely just immediately fades, and I'm back to trying to figure things out.
Do you just want to do anything else with the body or speak to anyone at the scene just now?
If anything, I'm just probably kind of in between, just like really deep, trying to think, figure out where else I'm gonna try to look. I'll be kind of like waving the photo around and just like, excuse me, have you seen this person? Just as the crowd kind of disperses.
What about Paul and Erica and Gerta?
Paul would probably take a time just to ask like a few questions to the guy that was helpful before, like where have the other bodies
Carl.
washed up and stuff.
Yeah, so Carl's a big blonde guy that doesn't seem to speak English, speaks Swedish. Robert's the smaller guy that seems to speak. Sorry, so what did you want to ask him?
Just where the other bodies been washed up, and did they all know each other, or are they all strangers to each other, or is like a trend between them?
He takes out his papers and starts like rolling himself a cigarette while he's talking to you. Well, there's been a few of them. Not together. You find them all along here, and he kind of like motions the length of the coastline. One of them they found up on the west post, the fence up there, and rolled into one of the ditches. But I think they all looked more or less kind of like this one does.
Oh, how wonderful and charming.
When did you last see him? What does this to a man? So, was it sudden? Was he all right recently, or is this something that's happened over a length of time?
He turns around and says something again in Swedish to Carl, and they have a short conversation. Carl says he hasn't seen him since Wednesday. He went out to do some night work, and hadn't came back. This is the first he's seen him since. But he said something else to him. Yeah, he says he was fine when he left. A bit hungover, perhaps. But yeah, he wasn't in bad health or anything like that. As for what could have done this to a man, I'd spent a long time at sea, and I can't say I've ever seen anything like this before.
Berta speaks to Emil about it. She says, Emil, come here, Emil.
She's like just putting the last of the equipment up onto the back of the truck. She comes hobbling down towards you. Yeah, Gerta, what's up?
There was a man this morning looking for Angela. Did you see Angela as well on Thursday night?
No, I wasn't here on Thursday. Why did something happen to her?
Well, we all saw her with go to the bus station, and you know how we all just go our separate ways at that point. But she seemed okay. She seemed happy. And then today, so she's gone missing. And then the man in the water. And then, Emil, we've heard a lot about missing people in the area lately, and some dead bodies showing up. So, what do you think of that?
Well, I mean, people go missing from places like this all the time. Gerta, it doesn't mean they're necessarily linked. But Angela, what, did she not make it home?
Well, her boyfriend, her husband, I should say, said that, said that she didn't make it home. He was quite a suave looking man with like a suit. You don't get much of them around here, do you?
No, well, I mean, if it was her husband, it makes sense. But yeah, that is worrying. That was a couple of nights ago then.
We'll have to see our singing group, at the church tonight.
Do you think we should go down to the police station and let them know that that you saw her when you last saw her?
Yeah, perhaps that might actually, I can also say was Geo in as well? He was in that night and he saw her as well, so...
Yeah, you should probably speak to him and maybe go down and let the cops know. Because if something happened to her, I mean, they've got to know, right? They need to know where to look.
That's true, and last time, me and Geo saw her was at the bus station, so...
Yeah, I mean, I can finish up here if you want to go find Geo.
Yeah, sure, I'll go and look for Geo.
So maybe you should tell her husband as well. He probably would like to know.
Yeah, well, I said that the last time I saw her was at the bus station, so...
Yeah, but if you guys are going to go down to the police station, you should probably let him know that you're talking to the cops, because I mean, he might not want you to.
That's true. Yeah, I think I see him over there, so I might go up and have a chat with him.
Yeah, you do that. I can finish up here.
Thanks, Emil.
I guess you're gonna hobble back down towards Rocky.
Yeah. Hello again.
Hi.
So it was me and Gio that saw your wife Angela at the bus stop. You know, she like left to go and get the bus. So I think we're going to go and contact the police about this, speak to the police officer about this, because, you know, that body was found in the water and there's been a lot of missing people lately. So I think we definitely need to speak to, um, speak to the police about this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Great.
Can
Alright.
can I have your name, please?
Rickaby.
Now you heard him tell the cop that his name was John Smith.
Name's Rorik Rickaby.
So I take it, because I'm, I take it you want to be known as John Smith when I speak to the cops.
At that moment, Rorik like winces because he didn't realize that if she had heard that or not. Yeah, I'd actually appreciate that a little bit more. Not
No,
exactly, not exactly on good terms with the police.
no problem. I can do that. Are you okay to like stand around here for like half an hour so that I can then go and get Geo and speak to that cop?
Half an hour? I just kind of looking around.
Or you could stop off at the I work at the Salvation Army, so as you can see, uniform. I work what's called as a clerk in, Salvation Army building, or the Salvation Army spots, at the weekend as well. So you could just come round and see, and I'll tell you what they've said. So
I'll wait here. I don't mind. Thank you, Gerda, right?
yeah, Gerda.
Thank you, Gerda. I really do appreciate this.
So Paul, you speak to the robber guy and he points, in the general direction where some of the bodies were found up and down the coast, and also the one that's found over by the west fence in the ditch. And as they're standing around, you can see the Carl guy just like staring at the body. I mean, he's not crying, but you can see that he's really just looking down at it and just feeling despondent and sad. And then he says something quietly, and Robert's like, "What was that, Carl?" And he leans into him, and they have a small conversation in Swedish again. And Eric, you can pick up some of the things that he's saying. He's saying something about the medical tent, the doctors, and you know that there is a provisional tent set up in one side of the Tin City by volunteer doctors and nurses and charities that come down to treat the sick. You don't know the context of what he's saying, but he definitely is mentioning that area. So do you two want to hang around till the coroner arrives, or what do you just want to do?
Yeah, I mean, Rocky at least is gonna just kind of hang around wherever Gerda kind of.
Yeah, you're going to
suggested
ask
he
around and
wait,
stuff
so-
like that, yeah. What about Eric
But
and Paul?
yeah, but yeah.
Are Carl and Robert still standing together, or?
Yeah, Carl's like standing with the body, and Robert's sort of like having had a quiet conversation with him.
I mean, I think if it's, if they're not like obviously deep in conversation with each other, I think I'd just, quietly ask Robert if they were close and like offer my condolences.
I says, oh yeah, they were crewmates on a ship before they ended up here. The two of them and two other guys share a shack, and he points over in the direction of where their shack is. Do you know what it's like for the guys around here? You know, they kind of stick together.
Of course, I'm in the same situation myself.
He nods. He's like, "Yeah, you're Eric, right?"
Yes, I think I'm a little bit known around here. Yes.
Yeah, you could say Sandy. Yeah, I'm Robert. Folk around here call me Bob. Yeah, my father was Swedish, so I know a lot of the guys here.
Did the man Anderson have family at all?
Back home, yeah, he had a family. Can't. He just takes finishes his cigarette and looks down the body again. It's just hard to fathom how he could turn like that so quickly. You know, it makes you think about how short things are. Some seabirds kind of land on the shore, and the car guy like shoos them away from the body.
I have some idea of what Carl and then must be going through at this time. If I can do anything, let me know.
Yeah. Something you could do for me if you wouldn't mind. Going up to his shack and letting the other guys know what's happened.
Of course, yeah.
There's an Eric there that he speaks pretty good English. Yeah, you should be able to converse with him.
Of course, I'll go and do that.
Is this your? He points to Big Paul. Is this your buddy here?
Have we met at this point? Would we know each other?
Oh yeah, we'll have
socially?
been friends at this point. Yeah.
Ah, cool. In that case, Paul, would you mind coming with me for this?
Oh, no problem, Eric. We can happily do that for you, mate.
And Robert put his hand out for Paul as well.
Takes it and
Yeah, he's like, thanks for your help. Yeah, it's Eric and Lars, the two guys that stay there. You two make your way around the corner. I mean, it's not a long distance at all. And you find a shack, very well put together. Quite a solid structure. There's not a lot of gaps in the timber. You can see smoke coming out the top of the chimney. And there's a little window, and they've got a little curtain drawn over it as well. And you can hear two guys kind of like talking away in Swedish inside as you approach.
I think I'll knock and then like take my hat off. You know.
You hear a voice going, "Who is it?"
I'm sorry to tell you, but your friend Sven has turned up dead. I'm sorry, there's no easy way to say this, but they found his body in the water just now.
The door just like flings open, and this guy, he's an average height, but very thick set, with thick red bushy hair all around his face and features. He looks to be sort of like late 30s, early 40s. Comes like striding out and just like he's like right up against you straight away. What'd you say? What's happened?
I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but it's your friend Sven. We've found his body in the water just now.
Like he curses in Swedish and like makes a cross on himself. And he turns around and yells back into the cabin in Swedish. And another guy kind of comes up behind him in the doorway. Again, average sort of height, very broad, with sort of dirty dark blonde hair that's all kind of like tied back and cut short. He's got a big pipe in his mouth, and you can smell the tobacco and the smell of the burning coal from inside the shed, or the shack rather. And the two of them step right outside. He's dead? Where is he?
The cops have sent for the coroner, but his body's still down by the water. If you want to come and pay your respects, I think this is probably the best time to do it.
The red-haired guy says something to the blonde-haired guy, and the blonde-haired guy like runs off towards the beach. the red-haired guy, you can tell he wants to go, but he's also not about to leave the shack unattended and lying wide open when you two are standing there for a minute. So he's kind of like back and forth a bit if what's going on. You can see the sort of impatience in him. I'm sorry, you guys are?
Yes, I'm Sven Lund. Damn. I'm Eric Lundgren, and this is my friend Paul. If you trust us to do so, we can mind your shack for you if you want to go down and you know, give Sven your last respects. But if not, we understand.
He turns and looks at Paul for a second. It's like, yeah, I recognise you. You've the family across the bay, yeah?
Aye. The two Ians, aye.
It kind of nods for a second. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, just keep yourselves warm. Just please don't touch anything. I'll be back as quickly as possible.
Of course. Take your time.
He grabs his jacket and just like wraps it around himself and runs down towards the shoreline as well. You can see peeking into inside the hovel. There's like a little iron stove that's been put together. Coal inside it burning away. There's a couple of homemade bunk beds fashioned out of like spare bits of wood, but it looks like quite sturdy and well put together. Just a bunch of like blankets and newspapers and stuff laid down as kind of like padding. And a very small like nightstand, maybe something like somebody would set a phone or a lamp on, and they've been using it as like a little tiny dinner table between the bunks.
I think I'll maybe warm my hands a bit at the stove, with having been in the water. I think we're probably pretty cold at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean it's freezing outside, definitely below zero. And with the door wide open, the heat starts escaping very quickly from something like this.
I'll probably close the door and just sort of get ourselves tucked up by the fire.
Yeah, and it smells like a place where four men are sharing, sleeping, eating would smell like. But that's not much unlike the places where you two are already sleeping and spending your time. And you're just grateful for the heat, and this is somebody that actually has some coal to burn, which is not always a common thing, especially at this point in the winter. You both sit down on probably a bunk on either side, and you can feel like crinkle and like sink beneath your weight. And as you sit down, Eric, your heel just kind of like bangs against something underneath the bed.
Can I see it without like pulling it out or anything, or would I need to take it out to look at it?
You could reach down and just kind of touch it with your hand without pulling it out if you want.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of investigate without like trying to disturb it too much.
Yeah, you feel down and it's like a little wooden box that's been shoved under the bed, or maybe a tray. You can just feel the edge of it.
Can I like look under the bed without pulling it out or anything? Or
you can get down your hands and knees. I mean, the light's very poor in here, so it's hard to see much. It's very clearly like a wooden stacking crate that's been like shoved under there, and you can see somebody's like crudely carved Sven into the side of it with a pocket knife or a nail or something.
can I see inside it, or would I need to open it?
You don't need to open it. You could just like pull it out from underneath the bed, and because it's a tray, it's open.
So, I think probably my curiosity would have gotten the better of me, so I will have a quick look.
Yeah, so there's a photograph of a woman with long dark hair. Not particularly pretty, kind of plain, but not ugly either. And it's quite a faded photograph, and on the back of it says Anna. There's some rolling tobacco, there's like flint, papers, a very well used toothbrush, and a crumpled bit of brown wrapping paper, parcel paper. If you open that up, it does have writing on it.
Is the writing in Swedish? I mean, would I be able to read it?
It's in Swedish. Are you clever at all?
I don't think I have clever as a trait, so
What investigation skills do you have?
just a second.
Oh, I should have said, if everyone wants to roll one... Would you roll one dice? If everyone wants to take one stress for when they saw the body. I forgot to say that.
Sure.
I don't want to, but I'll take it anyways.
Just because it's so odd, out of place, and... I mean, you might have seen a body
yeah.
before, but a body shouldn't look like that.
No, definitely not.
I didn't take clever, but I did take cryptography. Would it make sense for me to have taken clever?
Yeah, let's just go with it, because you got that, and you have a rudimentary, because your languages are a little similar. If you want to roll one dice. I'm not sure how similar Norwegian and Swedish are, but if we just go with, you can understand bits of it. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So, Wojcik Sue, you have no idea what that is or supposed to mean. You're not sure if that's a Swedish word or what. That seems odd. This big long word here, which I'm not even going to bother trying to announce, basically means like a hospital ward. So it's saying hospital ward 14, and you're also Scandinavian, so you know that 2100 is 9 p.m.
I think having looked at that, I'll probably put it back into the tray and try to push it back in, before anyone notices that it's been disturbed.
Sure. Paul, do you want to do anything while you're in here? Will you have a moment?
Probably just sort of like keep an eye on what Eric's doing in regards to like rummaging through the poor guy's stuff. I'd probably just sort of have a sort of a look around. He's probably, you know what? He's probably looking for making a coffee or something, like just something like a hot drink to
Right,
have on the
sure.
like a kettle. So he'll probably have like a gentle rummage through stuff.
Yeah, they'll probably have like a couple of tin cups. Underneath what passes as a pillow, which is just like crumpled rags. You can find an unlabeled sort of quarter, those quarter bottles of whiskey. That kind of size of bottle, but completely unlabeled, with just a black like top screw on it. And a clear, very strong smelling alcohol liquid inside it.
I think, would we know about the case of the alcohol poisoning?
Oh, you definitely would have heard of this. You know, a lot of guys around here kind of make their own alcohol from, or their own brew from like wood alcohol, which is highly toxic. And you all know it's highly toxic now because those guys died last year from it. So whether this is a brew from something like that or something similar, it wouldn't be out of place here.
Bob probably would sort of like he'd probably open the top, smell it, and then be like, no, nope, put it, seal it back up, and put it away.
Yeah, I mean it smells like paint stripper. It's that kind of strength. And you may instantly recall from reading the news story at the time that the guys that did survive the poisoning were all blind. I think it was 14 of them. This actually happened. 14 of them were left blind.
Jesus.
The guy had sold them the alcohol and told them it's poisonous, but if you mix it and boil it with milk, it'll negate the poison, and they didn't do that at all. So they all just poisoned themselves. Yeah, so there's a couple of tin cups, and that's the drink that's in here. And you're guessing that they must have been drinking that when you arrived.
I'm guessing we won't be seeing these guys for very long. sort of like show Eric the bottle, and then put it back where it was.
Just as you're like tucking it back under, the door like flies open again, and the red-haired guy comes in. He's all like flustered, and he shuts it behind him and like ooh, shakes himself sick. Jeez, what happened to him? You guys found him, didn't you?
We don't know. He was in a terrible state when he came out of the water. Did you know him well? Poor man.
Yeah, I've known him going on 15 years. Did a lot of jobs together. We came from the same village, or not the same village, the same area back home. I can't believe it. I'm going to have to write a letter. I'm going to have to find a way to write a letter back to his wife. He was fine when he left the other night. Just can't imagine what's happened to him.
He didn't say anything unusual. He didn't make any comment about where he was going. Nowhere out of the ordinary.
No, well, he was helping out at the medical tent. He was speaking to one of the doctors there, and he put him onto a shift. He was doing some night work somewhere. I can't remember where he said it was. But yeah, he was going out and he was supposed to be back the next morning, and when he didn't come back, I just expected he'd gone out and crashed somewhere, or fell asleep in a ditch somewhere and he'd be home. Well, home, motions to the shack. But what does that to a man?
I said the same thing myself.
It's the fucking waste they put in the water here. It's fucking filthy. You don't have that kind of waste coming out of those factories back home. Not like that. Anyway, thanks for letting us know. It's appreciated. My name's Eric too, by the way.
Good to meet you. Sorry it's under such circumstances, but if there's anything else we can do for you, do let us know.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Thanks again. And he snaps his fingers like, Paul, yeah?
Yep, it's like, pleasure, Eric. I wish it was under better circumstances.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's appreciated.
Yeah, I think we'll take our leave now.
They just like shakes your hands and slaps you in the back and shoulders. You just leave. And then maybe just stop there for tonight. We'll pick up next time.
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
I'm yawning my wee face off.
Yeah, well, that's figured. You want to start at 7:30 next time?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I should be all right. I think it was just I think with it being 7:30 last time round, I kind of assumed that without looking.
No,
so.
yeah, sure. I mean, will we try for 7, and if it ends up not working, we can move it to 7:30?
Yeah, I think go with that. That should be okay. Yeah.
All right, cool. Because if we start at 7, we can wrap up at like 10.
Yeah. No,
If it's 7:30, it's 10:30.
Cool.
It's a bit later for people.
Yeah, cool. I'll try and stick to that. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone have anything they want to ask or discuss before next time?
Nope. I think I'm good.
It's probably the least stressful tabletop game I've ever had so far. No stress burning so far.
Just begun.
When I've been writing this, actually, I was like, I said this to Laura, I was like, there's not a lot of like horror mythos elements in the way I've written it so far. Because the bloodied one we did was like all investigation right up to the end, pretty much. So I'm going to have to like sprinkle a lot more into it, I think. But cool. Okay, yeah, I mean, your backgrounds and stuff give me a little something to kind of flesh it out with as well and pull things in.
Yeah.
And you'll probably quickly discover that like $16 and stuff is not a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely not, especially during the Depression.
I mean, you can like, I think it's like 15 cents will get you the train like right around the city.
Yeah, it gets you a lot, but it gets you a lot more than it used to, but still.
Yeah, when it comes to like day cost stuff, it adds up, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, excellent.
Yeah, super excited.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's the same group, and yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's nice to be doing this again.
So next week, right, or week after?
Every 2 weeks, so week after.
Okay.
Fortnite.
Awesome.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm going to run something on the alternate Tuesdays or not. I probably won't. I might just do like some one shots. But I'm tempted to do that little fantasy one we did again.
Yeah.
So I need to see.
All right. Well, hey, I'm here.
All right, thanks guys. I'll see you next time.
Cool.
See you next time.
Catch us then.
Bye.
See you.